During the early 70s, passengers between Bedford and London St Pancras enjoyed an excellent, up-to-the-minute service. That was in the 1870s. By the 1970s, passengers considered they were getting a poor deal, and so they were. Friends travelling in and out of Euston had modern electric trains. Those who lived between Royston and King's Cross were even luckier. Their trains were newer still. Yet travellers on the Bedford line struggle on in old, unreliable, smelly diesels, controlled by signals more at home in York Museum. A raw deal, and British Rail agreed. For towards the end of 1976, out of the blue, or so it must have seemed, travellers learned that over £80 million had been allocated to modernise and electrify their old railway, and run it from Bedford all the way to Moorgate, as well as St Pancras. £80 million was a lot of money in those days, and 5 years seemed a long time to wait, when all they wanted was a comfortable, reliable service. But travellers weren't to know there's a lot more to modernising a railway than stringing up a few wires. Work programmes were planned so that each job fitted with all the others, and with the running of the trains. If only one could have stopped the trains, the work could have been finished in no time. But, poor as it was, the service had to go on. Where to start? Well, 3 stations, Bedford, Radlett and Harpenden, were to be rebuilt entirely. The others were to be brought up to date to create surroundings which were warm, comfortable and pleasing to use, and to make cleaning and maintenance easier and cheaper. Perhaps the biggest civil engineering job was the modification or rebuilding of the bridges over the railway. Because the 25,000-volt overhead system was to be used to power the trains, extra clearance was needed above the train roofs. 27 bridges had to be rebuilt completely, 7 lifted to a higher level, and the parapets raised on 19 others. 6 bridges could be removed altogether. Here at West Hampstead, new foundation piling is necessary, so that this busy bridge can be raised for trains and widened for road traffic. This was Bridge 39 at Hampstead. The only way to tackle this solid Victorian structure was to blow it up or down and start again. The near neighbours, bridges 35 and 36, needed a major lift, if not a facelift. 35 carries the Richmond to Broad Street Railway, and West End Lane uses Bridge 36 as often as possible. But the work is being staged over many months to enable road and rail traffic to continue with as little hindrance as possible. The large steel girders weigh 40 tons, the smaller crossbeams 2 to 3 tons. Most rail crossings were designed for the running of steam trains, and for today's needs they are slow, complicated to operate and expensive to service. The tracks themselves had to be rearranged or remodelled, as it is called. For with modern points and crossings, speeds can be increased from a present 20 miles an hour to 50 or more. And then there was the need for a new signalling system to control the new track layout. The designing and building can go on at the same time as reshaping the track. If John Bunyan could have foreseen the future, some of the trials and tribulations to be overcome might have inspired him, as he languished in Bedford jail some 300 years ago, working on his own great project, the progress of Pilgrim. Heavy work this, and Sunday work too. While weekday commuters enjoyed their Sunday pints and roasts, the lads borrowed back the tracks to keep the job going. Weekend after weekend, stripped to the waist, or soaked to the skin, or frozen stiff, they worked on through each year. At West Hampstead, the shell of the new signal box is all ready to receive the first batch of equipment. It will replace 29 old signal boxes along the route. These sections are part of the actual control panel which the signalman will use to operate the trains. This signal box will control intercity trains and all the suburban services over the 60 miles from Moorgate and St Pancras to the Sharnbrook area north of Bedford. The controllers can see on the signal panel exactly what is happening over the whole system, whereas before, each signalman only knew the situation on his own small patch, and so his ability to control the flow of trains was strictly limited. A little way down the line at Cricklewood, the new maintenance depot is being built. This 6-track train shed will service the intercity trains and the new fleet of 48 4-car electric trains, which will soon be in production. Two huge train washing machines are also being installed here, so that the new coaches could be cleaned each night and be ready for the morning rush hour. After 3 years, the whole project is still on schedule, and work is progressing so fast that a second visit to the spot, after only a short gap, reveals a lot more progress. Here's Bridge 39 at West Hampstead. All the bricks have been cleared away and the new deck is already in place. And here at Bedford, the station is getting on well, both inside and out. All the way along the route, new signal posts and gantries are going up. The lattice work around the signals protects the maintenance chaps from the high voltage supply. This can jump quite a distance, bridging the gap between the wire and any hapless victim who gets too close. There are nearly 500 of these new signal heads to be lifted into place and carefully aligned to beam their message to each driver. At 200 weight a time, they call for quite a few heave-hos, all told. Each major job has to be tackled in order. And now that a great deal of the earlier work is completed, installation can begin on the steel work, which will carry the overhead electric wires. Holes for the concrete foundations are bored with huge augers or grabs, which drive their way into chalk, clay, stone, or whatever subsoil lies beneath the positions worked out for the upright structures. There are over 4,000 of these holes to be bored and concreted. A series of works trains follow each other along the track, each one specializing in a particular task. The cement train carries just enough water, cement, and aggregate for each work shift. Polystyrene plugs are carefully lined up and held in each hole before the cement is poured. Once the concrete is seasoned and the structure is ready, the polystyrene will be dissolved, leaving slots of exactly the right size and position to receive them. The long snake-like implement vibrates the mix at a high frequency to make sure it settles firmly into place. The steel masts are galvanized to avoid corrosion and the need for paint. Each one weighs nearly 1¼ tons. They have to be set at quite a subtle angle, leaning slightly away from the track. In the other plane, of course, they stand vertically. Once the structures are up, the whole network of wires and insulators can be strung across and along the railway. Really an up-to-date version of new lamps for old. But this time the transformation has taken place without summoning the genie. Touches of simple, everyday magic did the trick. As the West Hampstead Power Box takes over control of each new section of railway, all the permutations of signal colour and positions of points have to be checked on site to make certain they match conditions shown on the control panel. To make sure no item is overlooked, the appropriate pins are removed from the diagram as each job is proven to be satisfactory. A clear chart will mean another stage of signalling is complete. Meanwhile, the existing trains must be kept running, and already proven sections of the panel are operating on parts of the line. At Bedford, the new station is already serving the passenger. With a stylish travel centre and a fiesta-like buffet, clearly decor rated highly in the mind of the architect. The new Radlett station is ready too. Moving south, the key station on the extension to Moorgate will be King's Cross, Midland. This old LT station, which is being rebuilt, will have a brand new booking hall. This is a model of it. And this will provide a link with the Piccadilly and Victoria lines. And finally, St. Pancras, once relieved of its veil of grime, will stand in all its original pink grandeur, providing a blend of the old with the new, the best of both worlds for the new railway.